Hello my lovelies, welcome back to another video. I thought I would connect August and September reads into one video because those two weren't really my big read months. I think I only read like 5 books in each month, so I thought it would be good to connect it all into one video so I have a little bit more to talk about. I will start with August, obviously. So, yep, in August I read 5 books in August. So we will start with the first one in the month. I was kind of leaving my thriller era and I read Murder Road. So Murder Road was my first read in August. I rated this a 3.5. I will read my review for you. Murder Road is a small town horror that strangely enough feels cozy yet keeps you on edge. This book definitely takes a lot of brain power to read due to having to remember a lot of information to work out the plot. But it kept the brain going and had me insanely gripped. Simone St. James's descriptions painted unnerving images that had my skin crawling at times. However, it did feel very back and forth, and I found the pacing to be a little odd. It also felt like there were too many characters and I got lost with the names of who was who. Overall, this book definitely gave me the creeps at times and had me anxious when tensions rose and was exactly what I was looking for in a horror book. So, yeah, it wasn't as good as I was hoping when I was finding the book in the bookshops, but I really enjoyed it still. I don't think I am massively entertained by, detective stories. Some reason it was the detective side that kept me just a little bit annoyed because it was very back and forth. Like the two main people, they were going to the police station, back to the hotel, to the police station, back to the hotel. And it was like, really? And then they would go out in a cop car and then the cop car would just like take them to a random place and then back again. And even they were like, what the hell are you doing? So it was a little bit back and forth and it was a little bit irritating. And there were too many characters, too many like detectives, too many characters. I was losing track of who was what and where was how. So that was a little bit irritating, but I did really like the plot and the idea of the story. So that was definitely a bonus, and it kept me entertained, obviously, because I finished the book and it was really good. So I gave that a 3.5. Definitely recommend this if you like a small, cozy, small town thriller. I definitely think this would be a good choice to pick up. Ooh, then I read Butcher and Blackbird. I was so excited for this series. It is very popular. Everyone has heard about this. If you haven't, you are living under a rock. But, unfortunately, I wasn't a big fan. I was not a big fan, and I feel so bad for saying this because it was good. It was good, but it wasn't the hype that TikTok had made it, which I don't think anyone is surprised about there. So I, again, will read my review. I gave this a 3-star. Butcher and Blackbird is definitely an entertaining dark romance read with plenty of banter between the characters. However, it is also a book that felt like so much happened, yet at the same time, nothing happened. The characters felt a little shallow, there wasn't really much depth to any of them. The romance between the two main characters happened so quick and time skipped so often that I didn't actually feel the chemistry between the main characters that Brian Weaver was probably hoping for. Furthermore, the romance changed the main characters from being hardcore psychos to pure simps for each other, and that lost their original personalities. I started reading the book and got bored. So I moved to an audiobook on Spotify, and it was so much better and so much more entertaining with dual voice actors within each POV. The sex scenes and killing tactics were creative, and the banter between the characters was enjoyable. So yes, I enjoyed this read, but I just found the audiobook kept me way more entertained than the book itself, and probably helps keep this rating at a steady level. That was a lot. So yes, I ended up listening to this on audiobook in Spotify because I got so bored reading it. Like, it time skipped so much. Like, each chapter was a time skip, and it wasn't giving us the time that it was meant to give us to grow a connection between the characters. So I'm guessing that Brian, is it Brian? Yeah. I'm guessing that Brian was hoping for us to get a connection and to feel the spark between the two main characters. But because she kept time skipping, we didn't get to feel that spark because we missed the parts that gave it that spark. So it was really frustrating because they obviously the two main characters together, and I wasn't rooting for it. I thought they were better as kill buddies. And I thought that the ways of killing in this story were very creative. Like, I would never have thought of half of these things, like the Orb Weaver. Who comes up with this? And then, like I said, the Spotify audiobook had dual POV. And that was my first dual POV audiobook that I had read, and it was brilliant. Like, so good. Like, I guess I'd say that the audiobook was like 4-star, but the story and the plot was just 3-star, unfortunately. I did like the characters, I did, but yeah, unfortunately, this flopped a little bit compared to what everyone else was probably rating it and raving about it. But that's fine, I still enjoyed it, I'm still glad I read it. But after that, I moved on to Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. I love this. I am not a Magnolia Parks girly, right? I have read the first two, the Magnolia Parks first one, and then Daisy Hates. And then this is, I think, the third one. Yes, because I don't have the newest one out. And these are big books. And this is the biggest one in there. It is huge. I, once again, listened to this on audiobook and read it. Dual POV. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. I will read my review for you, right? This book, Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, was a 5-star read. Yes! Everyone, cheer for me. Cheer for me. I haven't had a 5-star read in like 2 years. Probably more than that. I don't even know. But I'm so happy. And I love this so much. So, 5 stars. And I'm going to read my review. It's very short, but very sweet. Magnolia Parks, A Long Way Home had my heartstrings pulled. The love story between Magnolia and BJ was utterly delicious to read about, and I could not put this down. The way Jessa Hastings writes about love is almost magical, which perfectly describes the feeling. The characters were well-rounded with immense depth, and they felt incredibly real. I never wanted this book to end, and if I wasn't reading it, I was in their world, but in my mind. Nothing negative to say. 5-star. I could not think about anything else but this book for like weeks. I actually had a book hangover after this, and it was rough. It was very rough, and I loved it so much. I want to go back. Like, I was just constantly in their world in my mind. It was so good. Nothing else to say. It was just so good. I loved this forever. I can't even remember what my last 5-star read was. Like, before this. I know another 5-star read after this. But yes, this is Magnolia Parks, Long Way Home. I gave this a 5-star, and it was brilliant. I recommend. It's huge, but I recommend. Especially the audiobook. 100%. So that moves us on to Leather and Lark, which is the second book in the Butcher and Blackbird series. Right, I don't know if this is a common opinion or if this is a rare opinion, but I actually enjoyed this much more than Butcher and Blackbird. A lot more. So I gave Leather and Lark a 4-star. Leather and Lark consist of an enemies to lovers trope and a forced marriage trope. I found the beginning of this book to be slightly too fast-paced for my liking. However, it did slow down not long after, and I was able to follow the plot better. Unlike the first book, the characters had much more chemistry, and we were able to follow their story in much greater depth. Both the characters also felt well-rounded and carefully curated, along with the side characters that were mentioned throughout the plot. I loved how action-packed this book was, and I always enjoyed a good enemies to lovers. The relationship between the two main characters didn't feel rushed, which I liked, and the banter was quite entertaining at moments. Once again, I listened to most of this on audiobook with a dual cast, and I would highly recommend, as it takes the experience of the book to a whole nother level. Overall, I enjoyed this a lot more than the first one, and I'm very excited to get to the third one. Like I said, I don't know what was going on, but I just was addicted to audiobooks. I was just addicted to them, and I've been using it on my boyfriend's Spotify, so he goes on to listen to his music, and all the audiobooks like pop up, and he's just like, Layla, what the hell have you been listening to? And I'm like, Anyway, this was once again a really good dual cast POV on audiobook. And it just takes your experience to a whole nother level. I was helping out in my brother's house next door, so I had my headphones on, and I was listening to this while I was doing work next door. And it's just like the wrong time to have an audiobook going in your ears, especially around your family. I was just doing the work like, okay. And there was like interesting things playing in my ears. But it was really good. I loved the plot of this. I thought the characters had a lot more chemistry because we saw more of it. We were able to like live through their life. Like they would go out for coffee and we would like see that. Instead of just time skipping. We were able to follow their love story, which helped me connect with the characters a lot more as well. Love the plot of this a lot more. I love the enemies to lovers trope, always. And I don't mind a good forced marriage. I don't think it's terrible, but I think because I love those themes, I love this a lot more. So, personally, I thought this was a lot better. But it's up to you guys. I want to know what you guys think. What did you think? Did you prefer The Butcher and Blackbird, or did you prefer this one? I haven't read the third one yet, but I'm really excited because it seems to be getting better. We are still in August, so after Leather and Luck, I read Stolen Heir. Ta-da! Ta-da! Oh, I love a floppy book. I love a floppy book. We don't really get them very often in the UK, so when you get a floppy book, you have to worship it. You have to worship a floppy book when you get one in the UK. It's like rules. Anyway, I read Stolen Heir. I think this was the last one in my August. Yes, it is. I gave this a 3.75. Interesting. This may be an uncommon opinion, but I really enjoyed the trope of this book. It reminded me a lot of Beauty and the Beast, which ironically was mentioned within the book. Right, just quickly, in brackets, I had a look after reading this, and it turns out that that was the book. Like, she was going off of Beauty and the Beast. It was her idea, basically. So that's why it was very much like Beauty and the Beast, is because she intended to make it like that. Anyway, out of parentheses, the romance didn't feel rushed and the characters didn't lose their purpose as the story continued. I also found the mafia plot to be really entertaining and I was instantly hooked from the beginning. However, at times, I did find the plot to get slightly confusing, causing it to become hard to focus on what was actually happening. The writing also felt a little sloppy in some areas as well, but despite that, it was entertaining, kept me gripped from start to finish, and the characters were very intriguing. So, like I said in my previous book, which one was it I said it in? I think it was this one. I hate, right, when the characters at the beginning are like brooding, tough, I've said this before, and then they find a lover and they're just like, oh, I love you. I wouldn't do anything without you. I love you. And then they will become like simps. And it's like, no, you're meant to be this powerful guy. You're meant to be this powerful woman. You're like, so, and yet you just become simps when you fall in love. I hate that. And the characters just get boring and they get all puppy-eyed and no. And that's why I'm annoyed about that one. But thankfully, in this one, they both progressed together. They were their own people, and they met each other, and they were still their own people, but together. And I loved that. They didn't become like sappy and simpy, you know? And I love that. And I think that's why I like the characters a lot more as well. The plot was very, very interesting. I loved the whole... I thought this would be an uncommon opinion, but again, reading through the reviews, a lot of people actually enjoyed the Beauty and the Beast trope. And I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. And again, the Mafia. I constantly will be saying this throughout this series. The Mafia is so good. It carries the plot. It was really good. Anyway, 3.75 for Stolen Heir. Love that. Nice and short as well. So that concludes my August reading. I read 5 books in August and I got a 5-star, which is great. Woo! Round of applause to me. And then we have September now. So I read 4. I read 4 books in September. I thought I read 5. Short month for me. I started uni my second year, so there is a lot that's been going on and I haven't really had the time. I do commute though, so I can like read a bit more on the bus as well now. But we will start with the first book I read in the month of September, which was The Tenant by Frida McFadden. No, I read 5 books. I'm missing a book. Sorry guys. I don't know how I could have forgotten that book. But anyway, I read 5 books. So the first book I read was The Tenant by Frida McFadden. September didn't start very well for me, unfortunately. I gave this a 2.75. I think I may be part of the minority when I say that I actually wasn't so hot on The Tenant. Compared to Frida McFadden's previous books, The Tenant felt a little sloppy and somewhat cringe. The dialogue was too blatant and the plot twist felt very long-winded, anticlimactic, and a bit extreme. The plot frustrated me, and unfortunately for me, I think Goldie was the best character within this book, and he was a fish. I was really looking forward to reading one of her newer books, but sadly The Tenant didn't quite do it for me this time. I thought a fish was the best character in this book. I think this is one of her newer books, and a lot of people did enjoy it, but a lot of people also didn't, and I think I'm part of that minority, unfortunately. Like I said, the plot twist was so long-winded and it was so anticlimactic that it was just like there's no way anyone would ever go to that lengths to actually make someone's life miserable over the smallest thing. No one would go to that extreme lengths. So it just felt a bit silly. And I did sort of see it coming, not like I did, it's a little bit pop in my head and then it just kind of like, nah, it's not possible. It was, and this was the first time I was a bit like, oh really? With a Frida McFadden book. I've had really good things so far with her, so maybe I should stick to her older books, but maybe this was also just a one-off. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I wasn't so hot on this, unfortunately. I gave it a 2.75, which is pretty low for me. It's pretty low, unfortunately, but yeah, didn't really kick off the month to a great start. And you'll see why now as well. So after The Tenant, I read Fearful because it was a new release. I was over the moon excited about this book. I was so excited. Right, I'm not going to go on a massive rant about this because I've already done it. I've made a whole vlog. If you want to go watch this vlog, I will pop it up there. Do go and watch it if you want to see my true full opinions on this. I gave this a 2-star. I even did like a really exciting unboxing. I was so excited to hear Kit's POV and inside of his mind. Okay, I'm just gonna read my review, okay? I am saddened to say I am disappointed with Fearful. It may be my fault for having this book so hyped up after the previous one, but it did not provide me with what I was hoping for. Sad face. Starters, why did all the characters have to have like 4 names each? It was unnecessary. Secondly, there did not need to be romance injected into every crevice of this book. Sometimes it was just not needed, and this was one of the cases. Thirdly, I was expecting so much more about Kit and what went through his head during the previous book and his reasoning behind his actions. Instead, she created a new character and made the book about them. Fourthly, besides the new one, 2 characters from the previous book took up most of this novella. One that I really do not like, and the other I don't particularly care about. Lastly, it was incredibly cheesy. I went into this thinking it would be a gut-wrenching story behind Kit's actions and his mind and his brother, who, may I add, was hardly mentioned compared to how much he should have been. But it provided nothing of the sort, and unfortunately I was bored. I did read this in one sitting though, which I am happy about. Whoa, that was a lot. I do apologise if any of you did enjoy this book. I'm so happy you did, if you did enjoy it. I'm really, really happy because I wish I did. And I just did not get what I expected. And again, the 2 characters that took up half the book, despite the new character. I am shocked that Lauren Roberts was so excited to get this book out to us, because I genuinely did not think that anyone liked one of these characters. I thought they were just unlikable in the whole series, and that was the point. And then I was looking through the reviews, and a lot of people were happy about the romance between them. So what am I missing? Because I've spoken to a few other people who thought the same thing as me. I don't know if we're missing something, but I didn't care about the romance between the 2. And there definitely did not need to be romance between the new person and the main other person. The 2 main people. There didn't need to be romance in there. I just think that it could have been just a platonic friendship and not needed at all. Like, I think this whole book was just completely... It could have been an email. I saw a review and they literally said this book could have been an email. Like, how true is that? I'm really... If any of you did love this, I am so happy for you. I really am, because I wish I did. And I'm so sorry if I'm hurting your feelings. But this is just my opinion, and this is just what I was hoping for. So, unfortunately, I was not off to a great start in September, because that was already a 2-star after my 2.75. But after my 2 sad reads and my 2 sad expectations dropped, I read Pole Position. I bought this in London, in my London book shopping. Again, check it out! So good! I bought this in my London book shopping, and I knew I was going to love it. 1, it's F1. 2, it's romance. 3, it's a gay romance. I don't know why, I just love gay romances. I've read the Red, White and Royal Blue, and I loved it. I just loved it, and I loved this. For some reason, they always have some great connection between the main 2 guys. I will read my review, okay? But I'm just going to start off by saying I gave this a 5-star. And I think I'm in the minority of giving this a 5-star. A lot of people didn't. I don't know why, because I loved it. Anyway, I'm going to read my review. But this is my second 5-star in the space of 2 months. And I don't know how that happened. I must have had some sort of luck after reading that. Okay. I loved this book. I'm going to start off by saying that I have finally found an F1 book that is accurately curated and utterly gripping. I enjoyed every second of this action-packed book, from the romance between Kian and Harper to the F1 plot. Every character in this book was so easy to love and didn't feel hollow at all. I swooned so hard for Kian and Harper. I loved their chemistry, on and off the tracks, and I thought they worked perfectly together. I don't have much more to say besides I loved this so much, with not a single negative thing to say. Yeah, I loved it. I really, really did. I thought it was so fun, and the F1 was accurate. It was actually accurate, and I was so happy to finally get a book that was just true. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought the chemistry between the 2 was just great. I can't recommend it anymore. Go read it. just go read it. It was so sweet. It is very, very spicy though, so just like bear that in mind. And like when the spice happened, there was a lot. So just thought I'd let you know, trigger warnings. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. It just made me very happy, especially after reading all that. But because it was a 5-star and I loved it so much, I had a book hangover. And I got into a little bit of a, not a slump, but a bit of a like, I don't really want to move on so quick. And I had another reading vlog to do. So the next book I read was Kingdom of the Wicked. And this has been on my TBR. Well, it had been on my TBR for 2 years now, I think, which is a long time, maybe a little bit more. And I was so nervous to pick this up because so many people had said like it wasn't good. Like it was alright, but it wasn't like great. So I was a bit like, oh, okay. And romantasy scares me. Like it's so good. I love the genre, don't get me wrong, but getting into a romantasy is quite terrifying and it can be quite bewildering. So I was finally grateful to get this off my TBR and read it. And you know what? I'm glad I did. I actually am, because I gave this a 3.25. Once again, I'll read my review. Surprisingly, I really enjoyed Kingdom of the Wicked. The storyline was very interesting and the characters were well crafted. The plot was definitely entertaining, and it was most notable that Kerri Maniscalco had put a lot of research behind the themes of this book. However, unfortunately, I was not as gripped or hooked as much as I would have hoped, considering the themes of this book. It's not like the book was bad. I was entertained, the storyline was interesting, and I had fun. But I just wasn't picturing the scenes or characters as vividly as I usually do when reading, or felt inclined to keep picking this book up, which was disappointing. So yeah, it was a really good plot. I think the story was great. I think the research that Kerri had done behind it all was very clear. Like you could see that she's done the research behind which things, the 7 deadly sins, demons, like it, you could tell. And I thought the themes were really interesting. I just think it was lacking description because I couldn't visually picture any of it as much as I usually do when reading. I'm a very clear picturer. I picture everything in great detail. And I just couldn't with this. And it was very, very annoying because they would move scene. Like she would be in the house and then she would go to like this cave thing. And it just like there was no description behind it. So it was really, really hard to picture. And the same with the characters. I don't know. It was just lacking in that department. So I wasn't in the story. I was just sort of like reading words on a page, which was weird for me, and it didn't make me want to pick up the book. But when I did pick it up, I was enjoying it and I didn't want to put it down. But when I did, it just, I couldn't pick it back up. I was hooked, but I wasn't gripped. You know what I mean? So yeah, I gave this a 3.25, which is sort of average. I think it was just a normal average read besides that, if I'm honest with you. And that takes us to the last book that I read in the month of September, which is Savage Lover. Now, once again, flop. This is the, I think, 4th book? No, 3rd book in the Brutal Birthright series. I gave this a 3-star. Let's just get into it, shall we? I thought Savage Lover was an average and amusing read. The mafia plot was entertaining and I really enjoyed the side topic of cars and racing. However, when the main characters actually got together, there was way too much smut and it was way too long, which did bore me towards the end. I also wish there was a little more of a spark between the two, as I didn't quite feel the chemistry and I didn't find myself rooting for them. I also personally think that the first 2 books in the series were much better, and the second one being my favourite so far, as this one did feel like it sloped a little. Overall, I think it was the car aspect and the mafia plot that kept my rating higher than most people's with this book, due to my interest in both these topics. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say, as it was just one of my average 3-star reads. So yeah, I think for me, the car aspect definitely made that 3-star a little bit higher than just like a low 3-star. I love cars. I am very, very interested in them. And I love racing. And especially when they have like Mustangs and stuff in this, I thought that was really great. Like one of my favorite cars. So I love that bit. The characters, they were good. They were good. I did like them. But I just think they could have had a little bit more to them and a little bit more spark between the main two. But I don't really have much else to say because it was just average. It was a little bit long, which is strange. Like it looks short, but it was a little bit of a longer read. But yeah, I don't think this is my favourite one out of the 3 that I've read so far. I think this one's my favourite one so far. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one other than it was average. I think the car bit was great, and I think they should have had more chemistry. Oh, and these 2 are in my previous vlog, so if you want to go and watch me read these and give my full, true, final review, go watch that in my previous video. Go spin the wheel, choosing my reads. So that was my final read that I read in September. I'm currently reading The Layover. NetGalley has provided me with the ARC, so I am very pleased about that. I am 38% of the way through. So that'll be my first read of October when it comes to it. But yeah, that is everything that I had read in the month of August and September. I read 10 books in those 2 months, which is good, but not as good as the previous month. I think I did really, really well in that, which is a little bit of a shame, but I did go back to uni as well, so that sucks. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my reading wrap up. I am glad that I finally wrapped it up in one big video and shared my full reviews at once. I think that was probably the better way of doing it. If you did enjoy this way of doing it, let me know. If you want me to go back to doing 1 month per video, then let me know that as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd give this a go, give it a try. And I hope you enjoyed. I do. If you did, give this a big thumbs up. That would help me out big time. And if you have read any of these, I would love to know what your opinions were on them. I think that'd be great. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye!